All right. Well, what I had you do before I had to take the break to get that recorded, I said you figure out its position after 5 seconds. You did have options there, which we discussed, and probably 0 to 5 is probably the easiest of that function. Whoops. Of course, dt. What would this actually tell you? Not what is the answer. What does that tell you? How much it's moved from 0 to 5 seconds. Okay, so how much did it move? What'd you find out? 35, positive or negative? Does it make sense when you look at your graph that it is positive? Mm-hmm. It is positive, but please realize it did go left for a while, and then it turned around and went back to the right. Okay, and so it started where, though? If you use 0 to 5, it started at 9. So where did it end up? 44 centimeters. Now, interesting question, this next one. So to calculate the total distance traveled over the entire 5 seconds. Total distance traveled. Do we agree it moved a little bit back towards, I guess you could call it the origin, and then it moved back towards where it was? So how would you do total distance traveled? Keep in mind, these both have taken into consideration where you started. John?
Absolute value, and then trying to calculate the
Excellent idea. If we take absolute value of this function, will it take away the left and right part of how far it moved? It will. It'll take away the left and the right. It'll just give us the total value of how far it moved. And so that's exactly what we will do. There is an absolute value button, yes. That right there will take into consideration, and it will get rid of whether it went left or right. It will just take care of how far did you go. So for those that want to graph it, and let's face it, the graph's probably the easiest place to go. I would just go back in here, because we've answered all the other questions, correct? And isn't that basically the function right there? So let's just go ahead and insert, for those of you that have never noticed that one before. And go to math and number. The very first option is absolute value, ABS. Insert it in, but then if I were you, just to make sure, I'd probably go back down there and close off. Now let's look at these parentheses. There's a ton of them. And I know this is probably going to freak out when I pick up a marker. I have no idea why that matters. It just freaks out. This parenthesis gets closed off where? After the 1. Very good. So then we've got more. So then we've got this parenthesis. Where's that one get closed off? After the 2. Well, then we've got basically this parenthesis, which gets closed off by the last one. So do we have them all closed off properly? That's the key here. And what are we expecting this to do to our graph? Make what positive? Make what positive? So it looks very similar. In fact, from about 1.25, did the graph to the right, did the graph change at all? No, the only thing that happened is the stuff that was below just got reflected up above. So all this negative stuff just got taken care of. And so now we can go to that calculate, number 7, and just go 0, enter, 5, enter, and let it go. So approximately 42.59. Oh, that's right. Some of the calculators have that other notation. It's a little bit nicer notation than what we have here, but yeah.
Particle position. That makes sense.
Okay. Now, that's the end of the notes. I will take questions once I stop.